Hello, this is Tracy Dix from Wyrd Learning, and here I am on day 40 of my conversion card challenge. It's 54 days of James Wedmore's powerful language patterns that convert, and I'm using it to kind of reframe what we think about academic success and how we might or might not be able to adapt it to academic writing and what the differences could be. So today, as I mentioned in my previous video, there's a nice little mini series within these cards at the moment where we're talking about positioning yourself as an expert in your field. So in this case, it would be about, as an academic, as an expert in a particular discipline, and also in terms of kind of thinking about criticality. So today, we've got emulating experts. When your reader wants a result, chances are they also admire those who already have those same types of results. When you are making a compelling case for something in your copy, a powerful tactic is to connect specific celebrities or groups of people to the behavior or belief you desire for your client. An example may be, what would Oprah say to herself if she had the same belief? Or, want to know one thing all millionaires have in common? This is for online businesses, hence the language that he uses here. Formula: specific celebrity expert linked to behavior or belief. Category of experts linked to behavior or belief. Example in action. Here's why having an irresistible offer is the first and most important piece to a successful digital product business. Every single successful online expert has one. Can you think of a successful online expert that became successful with a bad offer that no one wanted? No. So instead of the kind of framing that James has here where he talks about the reader, I would suggest that the reader's attitude is something that you kind of need to impose on yourself in this case. So it's the student, it's you who wants a result out of your degree, which is, kind of whatever grade band that you're aspiring to. But it could be other things such as, you want to become better at critical analysis, you want to satisfy your curiosity in some areas, you want to really explore a subject and really engage with it. So there are many different reasons why people might want to do a degree. And along with it comes various identities that students might assume as well. So I probably won't have time to discuss them all today, but just a couple. So to reframe this then, instead of talking about Oprah, let's talk about, what would a subject expert say to themselves if they had the same belief? And what are the sorts of beliefs that students have of themselves sometimes? So when students are struggling with their work, there are lots of things that kind of come up for us when they come and see us, such as, I don't think I'm good enough. I'm not clever enough to be doing this. I don't manage my time very well. I'm not very good at critical analysis. So let's think about how this would apply. If an academic was saying something like this to themselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not good at critical analysis. In that situation, academics are often applying for funding for their research, or to get their papers published within academic journals, or to get their books published. And, publishers are not going to be telling you that you're good enough until you submit a paper that is up to standard. So then they'll be saying something like, well, we are pleased to share with you that your work has passed the review process and we'd be glad to publish this subject to certain revisions, for example. But no one's going to tell you how wonderful you are. So if you want to achieve that goal of being the kind of person who can produce excellent academic work, you need to reframe your thinking and not tell yourself that you're not good enough, you don't manage your time very well, and you're not good at critical analysis. But, help is at hand. It's about finding the right support to enable you to become that person who manages your time well, who is good at critical analysis, and who can produce persuasive academic writing. And, there are many support departments within universities, but obviously Alex and I are very happy to help as well. And you can follow us for more tips and advice. So, in the other language pattern, want to know one thing all whoever's have in common, so all category of experts. Okay, so let's say you're an undergraduate and you're aspiring to get a first by the end of your degree. So you want to know one thing all first class students have in common. So here are a couple of tips to help you with that. So here's how you can be the student who's good at managing your commitments and critical analysis and writing persuasive essays. And it really is about being consistent, but not to the point of burnout. So if being consistent means that you're aiming to kind of plug away at a particular activity for 2 hours, but you find you're not able to maintain it over time for as long as you want to, then you're going to need to adjust your expectations a little bit. And if half an hour is what it takes, so if you find that you can engross yourself in an activity for half an hour every day and keep it up long term, then that is the consistency you need. And it's these small changes and small habits that really build up to huge improvements over time. The next tip is to read actively. So don't just read everything for the sake of it. And I'll hold my hand up and say that as an undergraduate student, I used to get piles of books from the library and read everything on the subject. And on hindsight, I mean, if I'm really honest with myself, that was a form of procrastination. It felt like productive procrastination because I was reading everything. I wanted to be, like the academic with a stack of books behind them on the bookshelf, looking very distinguished and like they'd read all of it, they knew all of it. But that's not really the way to go as an undergraduate. And you will probably get a little bit bored and overwhelmed and not kind of know what to include in your essays, but also kind of get confused in terms of, well, where do all of these opinions sit in terms of my academic writing, in terms of my assignment. So it is really important to read actively. Think about the purpose of why you're reading a particular source and where does it fit within the question. I've talked a lot about analyzing the essay question first, and we do have a few kind of starting off videos on our social media channels, so do have a look around for those. They usually have headlines so you can find them easily, or pop us a question or comment in the DMs and email us if you'd like to know more, and we will try and help as much as we can. One really good accessible way of enhancing your criticality is to engage in kind of grey literature. So in this case, I'm talking about audio resources. And BBC Sounds and channels such as Radio 4 are really good because they often invite academic experts from such and such a university to discuss a certain issue. And that's where they engage with different perspectives and demonstrate criticality in action. And it's often very accessible. It's a reasonably easy listen rather than, trying to get to the bottom of critical analysis when you're reading a research article. It can be a lot drier sometimes and a little harder to follow. So having a listen to something when you're traveling or when you're doing the washing up is a really good way to kind of get a bit more of that practice in, so you're able to read a bit more purposefully over time. Podcasts can be a really good resource as well. There are many academics who are interviewed on podcasts about certain issues, and it's nice to be able to engage with them in a very dynamic way and sort of understand exactly, so how are they engaging with different materials, different perspectives, and what are they saying critically? So how are they evaluating it? And emulate that. So that's one way that you can be emulating experts really effectively and in a much more simple way. So you find that engaging with the sources is a much more pleasurable activity than it may have been for you in the past. All right, so that's all for today. It's quite a lot today. Join me again for day 41. We're nearly there. See you soon.